Welcome to the Wednesday Call Live. Now, let's hear for our special guest host, Alex Abuyuan.
Science family, we're fired up. Alex Abuyuan coming at you. And I was brung into the business 25 years ago by my buddy Andy Albright and Jane Albright, two of my best friends in the world. We love them and everything he's done for me. It's amazing what a phone call, how one phone call can change your life. And it certainly changed ours. And we're just so humbled to be on here and appreciate Andy and Jane, giving me the mic and sharing stuff with the Alliance Nation. And hopefully the stuff we'll be able to share with you today will help you overcome your fear, right? And that's our theme today, how to overcome fear, realizing, number one, that you will have it, in many different respects, but then how do you deal with it? Are you going to crawl in a hole and in the fetal position, or are you going to still fight through it? It's not about getting rid of it. You'll never get rid of it, but it's how do you handle it once you feel it? So, hopefully we'll give you a chance to get some hope that there is something better than, especially you brand new people, you did your first dial session and you're going, oh my gosh, is this what it's going to be like? This constant rejection, or you're freaking out because I don't know what product. You don't know how many times New Age says, well, Alex, how do I know what product to write somebody? And I go, well, remember that one carrier that can cover all three types of final expense products. It's like, oh, okay. It's the things that we tell people that they don't hear because the fear prevents them from hearing it. And so as an upline, as a manager, you got to help them overcome that and calm them down. Everything's going to be okay. There's no such thing as an alliance emergency, So look, we recognize it because we all been there. I have been there, and I'll share with you some, crazy stories of me overcoming my fears. And, hopefully we'll be able to move you all forward, because that's really what we want to do. We want to keep you in one more week. In fact, 10 days. We want to keep you in 10 days long enough to make it to state to success. But I got three guests on here of various different experiences. One thing that, it's great to hear from all the top producers, the top 10, they barely remember that they had any fear. It's like fear, they're so, focused on accomplishing that they forgot what it's like to be brand new. Which sometimes is an impediment to a lot of brand new, our top producers learning to recruit, because they expect everyone to do what they're doing now after their 10 years of experience, right? So I'm going to have people at different experience levels and where they are in the business, because I think it's more identifiable for you out there that are trying to overcome those hurdles, right? And one thing that we hope to accomplish at the end of this is, that big mountain is not a mountain. It's just a little molehill that you're just, walking over instead of thinking you have to climb. These are just little things, right? The big things become little things. And I think that's hopefully my objective today, is to give you that a little bit. So I'm going to introduce one of our newest agents. Her name's Star Biggs. What a great name. I wish I had a name like Star. That's a great name, Star. I met Star at the Louisville boot camp. She's a brand new agent, and she just looks like a model. She's as tall as a model, meaning she's taller than me, and Carolyn Rollins brought her in the business, and Carolyn did the best thing that you can do for any brand new agent, and that's inviting them to an event. And the next event was the Louisville boot camp. Starla lives in Indianapolis. Is that correct, Star?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so she drove, 2 hours? Is that a couple hours, 3 hours?
It's 2 hours, about like an hour, 45.
Okay. So she made the decision, come on out. And so first, how did you find us, Star?
So I found you guys on a ZipRecruiter ad, actually. Carolyn had found me, and so did John Davis. Very pleasure to meet them as well. Honestly, it's been an amazing ride so far with the Alliance. But it's crazy. I was going through ZipRecruiter ads not even related to the alliance, and I had ran into it and it spiked my interest. So that's how I got started here.
So what are you currently doing for work?
So I'm an esthetician. I was going through esthetician school at the time, and I was looking for jobs through esthetician school, and I had found it.
Wow, this is a perfect opportunity for an esthetician. I can barely say that. Esthetician. It's hard if you lisp. That's a hard word to say. So you just randomly found this ad looking for work.
Mhm.
That's cool. I wish you stumbled on mine, but you are in my group, so I'm happy about that. So selling insurance for an esthetician, what what attracted you about the ad?
So I actually had a friend that I went to esthetician school with, and she was in life insurance. So you know how your phones listen to you and stuff. So maybe that's how I found it.
You do?
But I had talked to her a lot about life insurance, and it just so happened I ended up stumbling upon it. And I'm like, I might as well, just see, give it a try, because all the esthetician jobs that I was applying for, they either weren't writing me back or they were trying to hire based off experience because I had just gotten out of school. And, Carolyn did. She wrote me back, and I'm like, the opportunity's in my lap too, so I might as well take it.
Wow, that's very cool. So did you always have kind of a feeling that you could do sales?
Yeah, so I've worked in the service industry since like 2017, 2018, waitressing, bartending, all types of stuff like that. So it's something that I've done. I've never really worked a wage job before unless it was like 213 an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Plus tips, right?
Plus tips, of course.
Okay. Yeah, my daughter's a bartender, so I know all about that. Yay, Trump's not taxing tips. Woohoo. I'm fired up. Anyway, yeah, so your opportunity in insurance just kind of fell into your lap. That's awesome. So when Carolyn started telling you about the opportunity, you have to get a life insurance license. The fact that you had to go get a license, that intimidates you at all?
Um, a little bit. I had just had experience with getting a license because I had to take a test for my esthetician license and stuff too. So I understood how it worked. Like you have to spend the money in order to make the money. You don't just start out that way.
That's great. I love that mentality because that mentality will serve you well in our business. So that's really cool. So when Carolyn invited you to come down to the boot camp, were you like feeling like you really wanted to go or you wanted to see what this is all about?
So the first opportunity she actually gave me before we even really knew about the boot camp in Louisville was North Carolina. And so she brought that up to me the first call I had with her, right? And I'm like, wow, already? Like she's like full send, trying to get me over there and stuff like that. And I'm like, kind of feels a little too good to be true. And so I was a little fenced about it, which I'm going now to North Carolina, of course. But I went to the boot camp. She had told me that it was in Louisville, so it's fairly close. And I'm like, okay, let me just check it out. Let me see how it is for myself. And I definitely was very, very nervous going over there. It's a whole new experience. I'm meeting a whole new group of people. People are learning about me as well as I'm learning about other people. And I haven't been in this professionalized of an industry, of course. So that was kind of weighing on me too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. The fear of the unknown. That's probably one of the biggest fears is not knowing what you're getting into, but then having the courage to just get in your car, drive 2 hours, and you have no idea what you're going to be walking into. If everyone's going to be in, like riding Harleys in with leather jackets and spikes and tats and everything, or, nerdy people in suits, right? But I think you had a different experience. You kind of saw all kinds of different people, right?
Yes, I got to meet so many people, and I'm so happy that I went between new agents. I finally got to meet Carolyn in person, and me and her, we had talked for a few weeks prior to that. So I finally got to meet her, which was an honor. I'm truly blessed to be able to meet her. She is an amazing person. I got to meet
Yes.
you. I got to meet Gina Hawkins. I got to meet Mike and Noel, some great speakers from American Amicable and from Mutual of Omaha. So I'm very happy I went. I honestly don't know where I would be at right now if I didn't.
That's amazing. I love it. That's why we invite people to events. Yeah, Gina Hawks is her name, and she's a good friend of ours. She's been our training manager for a really long time, national training manager. So I'm glad you got a chance to see some of our best people out there. Well, that's great. So when you got back, what other things that kind of challenges that you encountered that maybe that you weren't anticipating or so on that you figured out how to get around?
So now my challenges kind of lie with I just finally started selling to, well, first I bought products for myself, but also soliciting and selling to my family as well. So, and this had just actually even happened to me yesterday as I'm on the phone with Carolyn and Patrick a lot, constantly questioning them about underwriting. We're calling people on underwriting. We're figuring out which product may be the best because I'm like, well, should I do term? Should I do life? I don't know. And they've just been great for me to constantly just bother them so much and call them on the phone, which is great. Like the support that I have is amazing. So that is definitely one of the big challenges that I've had to face is being able to really put myself out there, talk to these people, whether it's in contracting companies, talk to these people, whether, it's my upline, and really figure out what's going to be the best for myself, the best for my client.
That's really great. So the first time you called them, were you kind of wondering if they were going to pick up the phone?
So I usually always text first because they're busy people as well in their day. So I don't want to call them in the middle of them having clients and stuff like that. So it's usually really easy for me to get on the phone with both of them. And we basically talk like every day about, insurance related something. So yeah.
That's so awesome. Communication. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that helps you overcome fear is to know that there's someone to call, right? That you're not out there on your own, right?
Yeah, of course. And working, in the service industry as long as I have, there is a lot of employers and, even employees even that are not the nicest people to you. You have to, of course, you're never going to, um, there's always going to be issues when it comes to clients and how they treat you. But when your employers and your employees, they're hostile towards you and it's not like the greatest environment to be in. It's just a completely sucky job like altogether. So I'm happy to be in a place where everybody is so uplifting here and everybody wants you to succeed and they're willing to be there to help you. And it's nonstop support. I was just getting calls or texts from Patrick and Carolyn yesterday, and they're like, we're so proud of you and you're going to do a good job today. And so it definitely helps, like having the support to back you 100%.
I think you are doing one of the smartest things any new agent can do, and that is to talk to your family and friends, your more market people, because that's how you really can test the system, test the underwriting, how to do electronic applications in front of someone that someone that trusts you, and then getting help, getting used to calling your upline for help, learning the underwriting tools and everything that it takes to figure out the best product for a client. You're like doing it the right way. Sometimes we have agents that fall into a black hole of, well, I got to study my products. You don't hear from them for 6 months. And then they surface and say, okay, now that I've learned my products, I got to learn how to do electronic applications, and then another 6 months later. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but no joke, man. Sometimes people disappear and you just wonder, where did they go? We try to reach out to them. We don't hear from them. So sometimes we think they joined witness protection, but So I appreciate you, testament to Patrick and Carolyn and John to, because that's the alliance. That's really the alliance way. They're really showing you what the alliance is all about, that, we're here for you no matter what. Even if you call us, you never bother us, you call us 10, 15 times a day, we're excited about that, right? So that's cool. So I'm curious so when did you buy your ticket to the event for Stage 2 Success?
So I know during the boot camp that I wanted to go, and Carolyn and I were talking about it. I just actually got my ticket because she's a smart thinker and she thinks ahead. So she buys them before at the early bird price. And I feel like she was just waiting for me to be like, okay, are you ready to buy it now? So I ended up getting my ticket from her, and I just got registered for it a couple of days ago, actually.
So you're the type of person that we walk, 10 miles over broken glass to find, because you're doing everything that we're recommending. We're not your boss, we're your coaches, but it seems to me that you really want to make this successful. And I think that is one of the key things that will help you overcome fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what to write someone, all these different products and what do I do? You seem to be focused, and I like that about you. Have you always been like that, like focused on what you want?
I think for the most part, there's definitely, like you said, fear in the unknown when it comes to things. But when it comes to college work that I did in the past or esthetician school, like I'm very great at studying, so I always tried to keep my focus to, a main goal. So,
Yeah, focus. It's about focus, isn't it?
mhm.
Like eliminating distractions, right?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. You're going to find a lot of distractions here when you get started with us. People, circumstances that will pull your focus away and try to take you off your game. As long as you can maintain that focus and communication with their upline and attend every event that's available to you, then man, you will, things will be easier for you. This business is hard anyway, but people just make it so much harder when they don't rely on their upline and they try to trust their own judgment for everything, when in fact they don't have any experience or they don't have any reason to make their own judgments, right? So the fact that you're checking upline for everything just rocks. That's so awesome. So again, this business is not about staying in a comfort zone. It's about pushing yourself beyond the comfort zone. So when you start dialing leads, that's going to be uncomfortable, but that's where you ask for help and coaching. When you start going into people's homes that you don't know, that's another whole different thing. But each level of overcoming the unknown is another level of you gaining your confidence and gaining your, what do I want to say? Just gaining your self-image that you can actually make this business work. And I think what you'll find at Stage 2 Success Star is you're going to find that you can be a star, that you can be up there on stage talking just like everyone else up there, because they started right where you are, right? That's cool. Well, I appreciate you. You rock. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the event. And, you put those 3-inch heels on, man, and I'll feel like a munchkin. So I don't mind, because you're going to be great with us. So rock on. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Alex.
That's awesome. I love finding new agents like that. They just so totally charge me up. One of the beautiful things about Recruiting Gang, and it just keeps that feeling going that we're making a difference, is to find people like Star that has a dream, and she went to whatever. She went to school for that. And then she got her life insurance license. And now, her life is taking a new direction with the right mentors and the right people. And, she decided to kind of take the next step forward. So I love that about her and all the new agents that do that. All right, let's bring on my brother, Justin. Justin Margeson was with us at Andy's cabin for the AB and Levin Tovich recruiting event. And, and James Coleman. James Coleman was there too. And it was great catching up with you there, dude. And you brought your buddy James Watson, kind of the the Batman and Robin down there in Valdosta, Georgia, and
Down south.
down south, which is really cool. My son actually, dude. So Athen, he's first lieutenant Athanavian, flew his HC-130 into Cincinnati at Lumpkin Airport. So, man, we got to see him yesterday. It was so cool. And I was trying to think, can you take this book to Justin? But Justin's probably read all these books. So, anyway. So, dude, tell us a little bit about how you found us and kind of your journey with us.
Yeah, so I'm Justin Margison. I live in Douglas, Georgia, originally from Cincinnati. And I found the Alliance actually where all professionals go for a job. And I went on Craigslist. And I was actually talking to Patrick about it yesterday. I'm pretty sure the title, all that the title said was "Have fun, make money, make a difference," and I was broke. I said, "Well, I love to have fun, and I need to make money, and yeah, I like making a difference, so I'm in." And so that's how I found the Alliance, was through a Craigslist ad. I got on the phone with Patrick, and that was back in 2014, yeah. And man, been loving it ever since.
Now, you come from a baseball background, right?
I do.
How long did you play ball?
I played from the time I was 4 years old until I hung up the cleats at 26.
And you were trying to make it into the big. Were you playing minor league?
No. So actually, back in 2012, I got an invitation to go try out for the Cincinnati Reds. And, talk about fear. I opened that letter and I was reading it. I'm like, holy cow, this is my shot. And so that's about as far as I got. I made it through, a few tryouts with them and didn't get my invite to spring training, but very good memories and, something I'll remember forever.
So when you found us, because, man, once you've been playing baseball that long, that competitive spirit and that desire to win, has to be channeled somewhere, right? And you had gotten in insurance prior to us, right?
I did.
Yeah, and then you got involved with us. So talk to me about times where you had to, deal with fear and what you did to, move past it.
Yeah, so I had really never been a part of a company like this before, and so as I'm hearing everything and talking with Patrick, I'm just getting fired up out of my mind. I'm excited, and so I'm telling everyone that I know, people at church, my friends, my cousins, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be rich. This is gonna be awesome, and I remember specifically, it was after Sunday morning service. There's a very close friend of the family come walking up to me and he said, "Hey, I heard you're in insurance now." And I said, yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking, hey, he's about to buy a policy from me. And he goes, I need to talk to you about that. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And so he starts telling me, he's like, man, you're gonna starve your family. There's no way you can make it in that. And he's like, you're going to end up homeless. Now, when I found the Alliance, I had been married for 2 years to my wife, Cassie. And a month before I started here, we just had our first baby, our first baby boy. And so he's painting this picture in my head, that I'm going to fail before I even start. And, so I remember I get started and I'm starting to make dials and I get my stack of leads and I sit down at my desk, I'm sitting in my chair about ready to call and I start, that's when the voices start, you know what I mean? And, not just
in your head.
Yeah. And it wasn't just the voices in my head. I was starting to hear, the people that I loved and that I was close to starting to hear everything, all the negative stuff that they were telling me all started coming back. And it's like my hands quit working. I couldn't dial the phone and I just froze. And 4 days later, I ended up making my first dials. It took me 4 days to get on the phone. And, that fourth day, it was a rough was a rough few days. I was all excited, talk about the ups and the downs in the business. And, those 4 days I was really fighting with myself and thinking about it, you're like, all you're doing is picking up the phone and making a phone call. But when you sit down to actually do it and like you said, the voices in your head start going, you start talking to yourself. I remember on that 4th day, I was sitting in my office and I was just crying. I was praying, something's got to change. I gotta quit questioning everything. And, in that moment, I stopped thinking about the fear. I stopped thinking about all the negative comments and the stuff that was said to me. And I just started focusing on why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, here I am. I have a brand new wife, a brand new baby that are depending on me. And the more and more I thought about that, I was just thinking, I want to be a father that my son can be proud of. I want to be a husband that my wife can be proud of. And, and that's really kind of what pushed me to start making my phone calls is, and one thing I've noticed, action kills fear. And, that from the time I made that first dial, I was a nervous wreck. I don't even remember what happened. I'm sure my voice was shaking. My hand was shaking. I could probably barely dial the number. But the more phone calls that I made, the easier it got. And one thing for me, how I overcame that fear and just kind of got past it is really, I had to focus on my reason and really not my excuses or the things that were said to me. And it definitely made it a lot easier.
Yeah, you did the classic thing that most winners do is they focus on why they're doing what they're doing instead of focusing on the consequences of or the future rejection. They worry too much about the rejection part and not think about the why part. I use this analogy all the time. It's like, all right, Justin, if we strung a platform between two high-rise buildings and your family is being held hostage on the other building and the platform is like 12 inches wide, and you can drop 50 stories down, but your family's held hostage with a gun to their head, would you go out there on the plank to go out there? And most people say, well, yeah, to save my family, right? Now, if I just said for $10, would you do it? You probably wouldn't.
Right.
But when you focus on why you're doing something, that can totally relate to that. I did the same thing, man. So that's cool. That's very cool. Now, on the recruiting side, did you start recruiting right away, or?
I did. Coming from the previous company, they pounded it in your head, recruit. And that's what excites me about the business is being able to recruit, and building something for my family. And so yes, from day one, I want to say it was the first week that I was in the business. I heard a training at a hotspot, and I might not get this correct 100%, but you said every day that you don't recruit is another week or another month that you're in the field. And
that's what I say.
And I'm like, no, I don't want that. So I'm going to start recruiting.
Now, when it comes to recruiting, we recommend start with your warm market because that's low hanging fruit. You're going to find people in your warm market that are, going to be open. Like I was calling one of my guys' list, Dave's list, and there's a guy in there named Chris. And so I was dialing, and he picks up the phone. I go, hey, dude, I did my approach. Hey, we're looking to hire some people in your area, blah, blah, blah. And I go, hey, are you open? And he goes, in 2 weeks. I say, okay. It was like, you just never know, right? Just never know who you're going to talk to. So when you started approaching warm market, because I find it's, most people like talking to cold market people like off ads, because it's easier than calling people that you know. Did you have to overcome that fear of calling people that you knew to present the business to them?
I did, because I had approached them before, And, you know, so basically I was the crazy business guy, don't bother me. I know what you're about to say. So, talk about putting doubt in your own mind. I'm like, no, they don't want to hear it again. And, but I did, I called, a lot of I have 6 brother-in-laws, and, so I just started down the list, and, cousins and, friends that I went to high school with, friends I grew up in church with, and just hit them up again. I said, almost like, the story with how this company started, like, hey, I think I found it. And, hey, I think I finally found it. This is the right one. So, but yeah, I think it goes back to, just kind of get the voices out of your own head, get out of your own way and just do it. We have a proven system. Just do it.
Yeah. As soon as I saw this opportunity from Andy, it was like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start recruiting right away, because I was in the Amway business with Andy, and that was all we did. I mean, we recruited and we bought our own, soap. It was easy. It was simple. MLM is simple. And then with the insurance business, I called, I talked to Noel and Levitovich and Patrick Connors, and, the rest is history. And I think where my initial fear came from was talking to lists of people for the people I recruited, because these are people I did not know, but they were friends of the person I was calling from, and, trying to get over that. Okay, I don't want to mess it up,
Right.
but it's they're looking or not, right? They're open or they're not open. Always, here's the thing that I find. It sounds like you didn't have to deal with it, but people are so worried about what other people are going to think about them, right? It's that fear of what other people think, the committee of they. Oh, I don't know. I don't want my friends to know that I'm in insurance, or, I talked to them about the last 5 multi-level things. They're going to think this of me or that. It's like, dude, are they going to pay your bills when you can't? No. Then why do you give a crap on what they think about you? They don't deserve to think about you in any way. And then, oh, let me break the news to you. Sorry, but you think people think about you way more than they think about you. Really, your friends only think about you during Christmas when they get a Christmas card from you. Otherwise, they're not in your head, man. So don't give them any more importance than the fact that you guys trade Christmas cards during Christmas, Just funny how people worry about what other people think, as opposed to thinking like, what are my children going to think of me? Are they going to think daddy's a scaredy cat? Are they going to think daddy's a wimp? Is my wife going to think I'm less of a man, that I can't provide for the family to overcome these little stupid fears that don't really mean anything, right? It's kind of like, okay, I'm going into type A mode because I'm mega type A. I'm like off the chart type A. For those of you who understand type A, type B, is like, Bo, are you going to zip your pants in the front or in the side, right? You're going to let this little fear, you're going to be, I'm not going to go into it because it'll start getting real, anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, dude, you are back on track. You and James got a nice little office down there. And, so when you get I'm going to be doing a meeting down there. And so I'm thinking maybe I should tell you I'm coming down there in like 3 weeks, right?
I'll put the pressure on.
Yeah, after the function. And then, we'll do the deal. So anyway, hey, I appreciate you, man. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Justin Markson, man. It's always good. It's a marathon, not a sprint. What we care about at the Alliance is you come in and you don't quit. Because if you don't quit, you're going to make something of yourself. All the little getting over fears is just part of the journey, right? And there's fears all along the way. Alex, what's the fear about making partner? Okay, except for making partner, there are little other fears that come along the way. Anyway. So I want to bring on Mary. Mary is my recruiter. I hired her. She was part of my praise band that at church. And it was kind of weird how all of a sudden she needed a job. I needed to find someone to help me recruit. it kind of came together, and I had no clue what Mary did. Like, honestly, Mary, I did not know you were a nurse or anything. You just seemed like a really nice person. You have a beautiful voice, but it was sort of like, okay, I felt the Holy Spirit say, give her a shot, and Andy Albright's big on getting people on the bus. So I thought, I think she's sharp. Let's see. So, and you got into this not knowing anything about insurance. All of a sudden, I dumped this thing on being a recruiter. And then all of a sudden, your journey to become a producer and now retirement planning. And I mean, it's been a crazy ride for you, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh, Alex, it has been quite a ride. And actually, I asked you to teach me recruiting. You actually hired me as your assistant.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I?
I had actually saw a list of agents, and I said, it can't be that hard because I was frustrated with the recruiter that you had. And so you had surgery of carpal tunnel surgery. And I called all the Matthew, Mark, Luke's, and Johns because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I actually had called just a random license list. And I said, hey, Alex, I recruited some people. And you said, how'd you do it? I said, I don't know. But it worked. I talked to them. I offered them the opportunity. And then I actually had asked you to teach me recruiting because I wanted to make a name for myself. And because I said I was not going to sell. How that worked well.
I am not going to sell, but I'll be happy to recruit for you. Which is actually kind of funny because recruiting is selling too, in a way. It's filtering. I call it both filtering. But so you just started calling. So what kind of got in you that, were you trying to impress me? Were you just trying to keep a job? What were your motivations to overcome, because I know that you can get nervous about stuff.
A little. Actually, I get very nervous often. But like everyone said, knowing that there's somebody there really helped. And when I first became your assistant, Alex, when I first started recruiting, I said, hey, Alex, I need you to call me ASAP. Send. I hit not end, and you called me right then. The fact that you called me immediately like that was the deal breaker for me to realize Alex really will be there for me no matter what I need. And that was the game changer for me for why I continue to stay with you and work with this company because I love what I do. And that's what it came down to, is that you really have always been there every step of the way. Every time I said, hey, Alex, God wants me to start doing this. You're like, okay, let's do this. But you did. You taught me how to recruit. And that's when I realized that what you were doing was also teaching me how to sell.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? That the trust, knowing that your upline's there to support you. The fact that I picked up the phone or I reached out to you when you needed it is such a factor in helping you overcome whatever fear there is in becoming better, doing this thing, So what motivated you to want to start selling? Because you came to an event. I just remember all of a sudden, Alex, can I sell? You're asking me permission, right?
Yeah, it was funny because actually I didn't answer your last question, so I apologize for that. Basically, what led me to do that was not to impress you at that point. I'm a nurse. I want to make everything better. Alex was having surgery. I wanted him to feel better. And if he knew that there was recruits coming in while he was not doing well, that was my intention that time, was just to make Alex feel better because I knew he was having surgery. There was no other motives other than that. So that was
went into nurse mode.
I went into nurse mode. Yes, I did. And I go into nurse mode every time that I sell as well. And that's
so explain that. So you got over the dialing leads. Dialing leads is not like dialing recruits, right?
No, it's not. I mean, it is in some ways because you're still just dialing and offering them the opportunity. Are you open and looking for an opportunity? But dialing leads, we're hoping these people already are looking for that opportunity because that's why they're leads. So it's a little bit further, more of a, for me, it was a little bit more anxiety producing. And honestly, how I got over it was just doing it. I remember listening to other videos of other agents that were talking about, just keep dialing and do it scared. And realizing that it was top producers that were telling me that they were still doing it scared helped me realize that it was normal for me to feel fear and that it was normal for me to keep walking through it. And the only way that I was going to get through that fear was to do it. And I promise you guys, I blew up Alex's phone, and I still do. Anytime I get anxious, that's why he's laughing. He knows. But he knows that I'm doing it. I might say, I'm scared to death, Alex. You told me after 100 times that I was going to see customers that I wouldn't be afraid anymore. And I'm at number 78, and I'm still petrified, but I'm walking into this house now. And the point was that, knowing that you were there was like my security blanket. I knew that I was going to make a lot of mistakes, and I did make a lot of mistakes. But the point was, I knew you were there to help me pick up the mess and clean up the mess, because I was that open to you, to know you know exactly what I was doing, what I was thinking, what I was saying, which allowed me to really be coachable to that extent.
So when you wanted to, again, I don't suggest these things, but so all of a sudden, because we have a number of agents doing retirement planning now with IULs and annuities, what kind of got into your craw that you felt like you wanted to try it out?
It came to that, I had said, I just wanted to make a name for myself as a recruiter. I did so. Then when I came to that one event, when Marcus Richardson was talking about identity, and I reached out to Jane Albright and I sent her a text. She goes, "Who is this?" I said, "Oh, I'm Mary Donovan, Alex's recruiter and assistant." And I said, "Wait a minute, I'm more than that." And that was my little light bulb moment, because I go to these events, guys, that you really learn a lot when you go to these events. And at that point, that was my game changer, where I reached out to all these top producers, and I still talk to them, and they encouraged me so that it's not as much burden on Alex all the time, because I'm also reaching out to them to say I'm scared or nervous. And they're right there to cheer me along the way. But when I got into the stuff with the retirement planning, what it was I was starting to recruit, and I was really talking about that. And I said, I can do this. It doesn't seem that hard. And it was actually January. I remember meeting Alex, because I also have been blessed to do dial coaching with our agents, because I've been blessed to be successful in doing so. And I remember sitting here with Alex, like we are right now, and I said, "Hey, Alex, I'm going to start learning these IULs and annuities. And by March, I probably should be ready to start, doing maybe some retirement planning." And Alex just kept shaking his head. I said, "But what really bothers me the most is when we have these agents that I'm trying to practice dialing with, and they said that they just need to learn the product more before they can even start picking up the phone." And I realized exactly, and that's exactly what Alex did then too. He goes, "She just nailed that coffin for me." I was like, "Alex, I just did it." And he goes, "Yep." I said, "I'll know annuities and IULs in 2 weeks." And I pushed hard.
Yeah, when agents say that, what they're really saying is that I'm freaking scared of calling these leads. That's what they're saying. It's like, I got, push the glasses up the nose. I got to learn my products better. They're really saying, I am scared as heck to call these deadgum leads, right? Mm-hmm. I think you coaching them too, when you're on the phone with them, gives them comfort level, knowing that, number one, you're watching them dial, and, but it also puts them kind of in a, fight or flight mode. And they usually fight because they don't want to be embarrassed. And then you're the kind Mary, the nice Mary, right, to coach them. So they know you're not going to be judgmental of them as people, right?
No, because I've made all those mistakes myself, and then some.
Yeah, we all have. You mentioned something about identity. That's one thing I think where fear comes from, is people confuse their identity from their role. Like I have this thing called, your I is not your R. Your identity is not your role. And Jeff Bright's big on identity and how you identify yourself. The different roles in your life that you play is father, mother, sister, brother. Your role as a provider for your family, your role as a life insurance agent, your role as an upline manager, your role as an agency manager, your role as an integrity partner. Everyone has different roles in their life that they play. Sometimes they confuse our role with their identity. Like when I was in the headhunting business, how many people that lost their jobs, they identified with their job. It's like, dude, man, you are not your job. You are not identified as an employee. So then your self-image is based on whether you have a job or not. It's like, dude, your identity is who you are. Your identity is what God gave you, your personhood, your ability to make judgments, and your free will. You are a child of God in my world. But your role, you might fail a little bit as a role as an employee because you're not an employee anymore, or your role as a father, you're an awesome father, but your role as an employee, you're not providing for your family. So that doesn't affect your I. Your I is always a 10 because God made you a 10. The enemy and the world tries to beat you down to be less than a 10 It's like, don't let them do that, right? You got to realize that your R is not your I. So let's figure out how to get your R level up as an insurance producer, and don't let that affect your identity, because you're still an awesome person. Your self-image is still a 10. Your R as an insurance might be a 5, but let's move that up to a 6. Let's move it up to a 7, right? So, I'm glad you mentioned that identity aspect versus R. So your I is not your R. So any other things you can give someone who, like especially agents, brand new agents, what are some of the fear things that you ever help them with as far as getting over?
Yeah, honestly, what has really been helpful is, for me, when I'm getting nervous or I really don't want to do something, I will say, hey, Alex, I'm going to do a recording of me dialing these leads, because they will also help our agents. Again, the nurse has got to be always in here for me. So I'm going to help the agents by having them watch me dial these leads. And I'm going to get beat up on these leads, they're going to hang up on me and all the above. But it also gives me that, one, I'm more accountable. 2, I'm going to be in my A game because I'm being recorded. 3, yeah, I'm not trying to impress the boss. But on the top of it, really, it has to come down to, I want to be the best version of myself. And I know I thrive, as much as I say I hate being scared and nervous, I thrive on that, because I do my best work when I'm nervous, scared, and anxious, because I'm really hyper-focused on learning something, doing something, and achieving something. And if my goal is to help and bless however many people I can help, then that's going to be my ultimate end, and it's going to happen. And my job is just to do the work and put the results in God's hands. But the point is, I also have capable hands like you, Alex. I could sit there and say, okay, Alex, I went to 3 people's homes and I couldn't even quote them. And you would sit there and say, well, how did you do with the pain finding? And you're like, how many questions did you ask? And I'll tell you, and I'll be, oh man, no, actually I didn't even do that many. And again, that coaching is phenomenal. So if I was going to give advice to agents who are doing it scared, be happy that you're doing it scared, because you're most likely going to be on your A game and you're going to be more focused. I'm not saying you have to have a heart attack, but the point is it allows you to really be more focused on what you're doing, which also focuses you on the ultimate result. And if you are focusing on your why, like Justin said also, then you're going to be very successful, because you want the end result. And if you just don't allow anything, and believe me, life happens with me a lot, okay? I don't even want to go there. But I mean, the point is, there's one thing after another thing after another thing with me. But the point is, I push that all the way as much as I can, so I can continue to move forward. Because if I'm not moving forward, then I'm going to go backwards. And I don't want to ever do that. And that's what it comes down to, is I don't want to be complacent in anything, in my faith walk or my work life.
So here's what I'm hearing you say, is that you've created a system to handle fear. Like when you feel it, you know how to handle it, and you work through your process. And then at the end of the process of working through your fear, you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? You're doing what you ought to do. Did I summarize that?
Beautifully said, yes.
I know, because that's what Andy Albright teaches me, right? Well, Mary, I appreciate you. Thanks so much. You rock, and get back to work. No, just kidding.
Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir.
Oh, that's so funny. And then she also sings with me in my band. So it's like, you just never know where you're going to find good support, man. Anyway.